Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. If you are here for the Doing Business and Becoming Discoverable with Southern California Edison webinar, you are in the right place. So I'll start with some intro and admin items. I see a few people are still logging on and getting their audio set up. So if you're new to the VIB network, please join our free directory. We help corporations and government agencies find your veteran and disabled veteran business, including Southern California Edison. Also, we have an opportunity board that gets updated weekly with projects and RFPs and other opportunities that are available. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold today, so I apologize if I cough into anyone's ear today while we're going through this. Most of you probably heard about this webinar through our newsletter. If not, if you saw it on Facebook or some other social media, please go to our website, vibnetwork.org, sign up for our newsletter. We send out updates weekly. It goes out to over 40,000 disabled veteran businesses and veteran advocates, organizations, government agencies. And finally, save the date for our national conference in October 28th and 29th in sunny San Diego. And that'll be a good segue for our next slide here to talk about our conference. Our VIB National Conference is a premier event to meet the corporations and government agencies that I've mentioned. So we will be at the Konakai Resort. Our rooms are selling out very quick, much quicker than anticipated. We're still about 5 months out, and we're about 50% sold out. And so it's looking like we are going to sell out the entire hotel, which means our conference will be the only game in town at that particular site. So if you're getting on the elevator, odds are you'll be talking to either a corporation, government agency, or fellow veteran business. We'll also be having tactical networking, and that kind of leads into the purpose of today's presentation, to talk about, what is the first step that you got to take to start doing business with some of these corporations, such as Southern California Edison. And one of those first steps is getting signed up and making your profile all accepted and certified and qualified in a program such as Ariba. And so with that, I will move on to our bios for our presenters today. We have Alma McMaster. She is the Senior Program Manager for Supplier Diversity at Southern California Edison. She's been doing supplier diversity and supply chain management for over 25 years, working with a lot of large U.S. corporations. Excuse me. And so Alma's pretty much the go-between between the small businesses, the certification, and the project managers that are actually doing Edison's work. So definitely somebody who you want to be able to meet, somebody you want to be able to know, and who understands how this supplier diversity process works to make sure that DVBEs and the veteran businesses are lining up with the right people to get those contracts. Also today we will have Sandra Escalara. She's an analyst in supplier qualification, responsible for overseeing the process for Southern California Edison using Ariba, which is what we're going to get into today. So Sandra is an expert on how to make sure that your profile is accurate, that you're signed up properly, that you show up in their system as a qualified vendor in their supply chain. And finally, we have Laura Ayala Huntley, who is responsible for leading the Supplier Qualification Program for all of SCE's supply management on the non-energy side. And when I say non-energy, I'm talking about $4 billion worth of procurements using Ariba. And so as you can see, we've brought the A-team that knows how this process works and that understands what you as a disabled veteran business have to do, the very first process in order to start doing business with Southern California Edison. So with that, I will turn it over to our team. If you do have any questions, please type those into the chat. We'll interject throughout the presentation if it's something applicable to that particular slide. If it's a big question that maybe doesn't apply particular to a slide, we'll hold those for the end, but please feel free to type those in the chat. And with that, Alma, I'll turn it over to you and your team.
Great. Thank you so much, Cole. Everyone can hear me fine, I take it, Cole? Yep. Are we good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you all for joining us today for this webinar on doing business with Southern California Edison. But it also should have a title after that, a subtitle after that, and other utilities, because we often work in the same framework. So I serve on a lot of panels with my colleagues at PG&E, SDG&E, AT&T, and other communications and utilities. And we often say the same things. So I know that we operate within the same frameworks. So a lot of this will be applicable to those companies as well. Our actual subtitle for this course is Become Discoverable, Develop Capability, and Deliver Value. We think those are the 3 steps for really you having a successful relationship with Southern California Edison or some of the other utilities. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about Southern California Edison. You know, it's our vision that we lead the transformation of the electric sector. So that is going on right now. Many of you have probably seen or heard, if you're trying to direct business to the utilities, that we're going through a large transformation in the way that we do business and the products and services that we offer. So we want to be the leader in that transformation and redefine what it means to be a utility. It's our mission to safely provide reliable, affordable, and clean power to our customers. And there's some data about our customers and our service territory. One of them to note for you is that our service territory covers a 50,000 square mile territory that is located within Central, Coastal, and Southern California. So that's the area that we offer our services in. We are one of the leaders in renewable energy and energy efficiency. That is something with the new California regulations and laws that we have become a leader and expert in. And we'll go over that in a little bit about how that affects the products and services that we purchase. A special note, I think, is that for nearly 40 years, we have had a supplier inclusion or supplier diversity program. And proud to say that in 2018, as part of that program and our corporate goals, we achieved a $2.13 billion spend with what we call diverse suppliers, and that represented 46.73% of our total procurement spend. And that's something that we're really proud of, that we were able to achieve that much spend with diverse firms in 2018. And as like our counterparts and other utilities in California, we do operate in compliance with the California Public Utilities Commission General Order 156. And if you are interested in doing business with the utilities, and I take it if you're on this call, you are, you should know about General Order 156. So I'm just going to go a little bit over that and then advise you to actually research it more if you need more information, because it's on the California Public Utilities site. So the purpose of General Order 156 is really to make that sure that diverse suppliers are included in procurement opportunities. And the California Public Utilities GO 156 defines diverse suppliers as women, minority, disabled veteran, and LGBT-owned businesses that are certified as such. So there's a long acronym for them that they use in GO 156, but they're also known as diverse business enterprises, or DBEs. So some highlights of General Order 156 for you to know about is that they do define some target spend goals. And this order, I think, was put in 1988 originally, and at that time they had established a goal of 21.5% of DBE spend. And the way they break it out is 15% with minority-owned businesses, 5% with women-owned businesses, and 1.5% with service-disabled veteran businesses. LGBT businesses were added to the general order just a couple years ago, and they have yet to set a target on it, but they have just incorporated it into the GO 156 components. So we'll look for a target on that. So if you recall, I said that SCE in 2018 did 46.73%. So that's quite a bit above the target spend goal that is recommended in GO 156. Also part of this program is that they ask one of the regulations or guidelines set forth is a subcontracting program. So that means that each of the utilities should have a subcontracting program in place that encourages their primes to outreach to these diverse suppliers and provide opportunities for the prime contracts that they hold with the utilities. They are also required to verify spend and report that spend with the utilities as we report it out to the public, CPUC on an annual basis. Outreach is a big part of our program and part of GO 156, where we do partner with organizations like VIB to outreach to the DBEs. Certifications that they accept, and everybody's that falls under GO 156 is subject to this as well. So again, other utilities as well as Edison, the certifications that we accept through the Supplier Diversity Program are the CPUC Supplier Clearinghouse, and that they will certify minority, women, and they also import the DGS California Disabled Veterans certifications. And besides from that, we will accept the SBA 8A certification under this program. And another requirement of GO 156 is that we do submit an annual report. All the utilities will submit an annual report and a plan for the upcoming year. The report states the actual spend in specific procurement categories on what we did in the previous year. So you can go onto the CPUC site and see everybody's, all the utilities' annual report and how they actually are performing in supplier diversity and what they plan to do as far as not only their procurements, but development of suppliers. And then finally, we have one of the requirements under GO 156 is that there is held an annual en banc public hearing with the commissioners, the California Public Utilities Commission, and we're to report out and address anything that achievements as well as issues that we may have within supplier diversity. And that usually takes place in October every year. So those are some things that I think are important for you to know if you're doing business or want to do business with a utility. Other things that are going on right now within our industry that are really driving change within our industry are customer expectations. We have a lot of people who are very smart and about their energy and use of energy these days, and that is driving some new technologies and new services that we offer. I had mentioned the environment requirements before. California, as you know, is one of the leaders in environmental laws and regulations, and SCE has produced a white paper that is our pathway to clean energy, and you can go onto our website at sce.com and take a look at it. That goes over what we plan to do in order to meet the renewables regulations, as well as really just to do our part in helping clean air. And it's really interesting, and it shows you where our company and our industry is going. So I'd recommend that you take a look at that. A lot of legislation and regulation we talked about, especially within clean air, that are driving changes, and technology advancements, smart meters, battery storage, things of that nature are really changing what we procure and the solutions we are looking to. So those are some industry drivers. And with those industry changes, there's also some new rules for engagement. There's new ways that we are doing business. You can potentially never exchange a piece of paper or meet with somebody in person while doing a contract with them. So it's an environment where the procurement process is almost completely automated with limited human interaction. So we always tell suppliers who are wanting to do business with us, think about that, and how would you sell your expertise and innovation then in this type of environment where it's primarily automated with limited human action? You really need to take advantage and find out what those systems are. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this today. Because we have implemented over the last, I've seen a lot of change in procurement over the last, 20 or so years that I've been in the business. And there are a lot of systems in place. And becoming discoverable becomes challenging if you don't understand those systems or the procurement process. And that's one of the first steps in really doing business with any of these utilities. And when we say become discoverable, what we mean is register in a client's database. We know there's a lot of databases. Each company will have their own, and we are here today to talk about ours, the one that SCE uses, and that's the Ariba system. And we'll go into detail that in just a minute. But that's one of the ways you make yourself discoverable. The other way is that you join organizations, attend events, and network with throughout these organizations. So we partner with organizations like VIB and many others. We partner with over 50 community-based organizations that support diverse businesses. So we are at a lot of different functions, and when we are there, we say join these. This is a perk for you to join these organizations, that they can introduce you to the people you are trying to do business with. So attend their events and network. And then maintain your DBE certifications. And when you maintain those certifications, you are automatically in these databases that we search constantly to look for new sources. And that includes the VIB database that Cole mentioned earlier. Rebecca, Cole, you're welcome for that plug. But yes, they have a great database that we search through to look for service disabled veteran companies when there are opportunities. So maintain your certifications and profiles in different databases so that you are visible to the people who may be searching for you. Develop capabilities, research the industry forecast, and align your future products and services with the future of those industries. Really important, the changes that we're going through right now, all the utilities companies. Align your products and services and provide solutions to them that can add benefit to them. And then get training and certifications. Right now, Edison is doing a lot of work in electric vehicle infrastructure. And there are some certifications on that I wasn't even aware of. There are some new certifications for construction companies to get for these EV installations. So look into what is the future of the industry you're trying to target, and then get the training and certifications that anticipate what those are and get those. And then deliver value. Excellence is the floor, not the ceiling. We do, because you are a diverse business and you are registered with us, it does not mean that you will automatically get business or that contracts, this is not required. Excellence is required. You need to continuously deliver value with competitive pricing, great quality and service, and safety, as you know, really important to us at Edison. Those are some of the things that help you drive value and will keep a long-lasting relationship with not only Edison, but the other utilities as well. So those are just our tips on becoming, developing a relationship and doing business with Edison and the utilities. I'm going to turn it over now to Sandra, who is going to then talk in detail and show you how to complete your Ariba profile with us. As we said, that is step one in becoming discoverable, as all of our supply management people and other people throughout our OU have access to these profiles details, and we'll search that and use that as the sourcing tool for our procurements. So I am going to turn it over to Sandra so that she can show you how to do that.
Hello, just want to go over some information first. This session is for suppliers that are not yet approved to provide goods and services to Southern California Edison, but wish to be considered for bidding opportunities. You first must register with Ariba, which is a cloud-based tool where the supplier can provide the information, documents, and certifications about their company and update it periodically as needed. What is supplier information management? This is a web location where suppliers register and manage company information and collaborate with SCE. It's important here to know that suppliers that enter and maintain their company information in a centralized web-based location. And this SIM, which is abbreviation for this supplier information management, it creates the exchange of information between SCE and its suppliers. Here are the steps to doing business with SCE. First, you have to go through the registration process, and that's supplier needs to register in Ariba, activate your Ariba account, and then complete your Ariba public profile, and also complete the SCE supplier profile questionnaire. Next, you go into the qualification. The supplier will upload required documents and certificates, and Supplier Qualification Team will perform the evaluation. Supply management will approve, reject, or conditionally approve based on the information provided. Then a vendor ID will be created, and after the final screening is completed, then the ID will be issued.
So just to add to that, this is Laura. The initiation of your account in Ariba is, of course, done by you, but you may be invited by a supply management agent or contract manager as needs emerge and that you're identified. So you may be asked, and there is a specific URL that is sent to you, and we will have that in our deck here, and also we'll be sending out a self-registration guide that assists you in step-by-step on registering and what the process is, and how to make sure that you do the steps that make you successful to get into our database. Okay.
So the first step you want to do is obtain your Ariba Commerce Cloud account. And you want to make sure that you prepare for the registration by having a designated Ariba account administrator. And this administrator will be responsible for completing the registration process, managing and updating your company's information, and managing user roles. And also, just to let you know, the designated Ariba account administrator is the creator of the account by default.
So in other words, that person is going to be responsible for updating the profile periodically.
Okay. Next, you're going to access Ariba Supplier Self-Registration website by using an internet browser that will navigate you directly to SCE's registration site. We'll provide you with this information. Ariba supports different browsers, so choose the best browser that works best for you. Okay. Registering for an Ariba Commerce Cloud account. Once you log in and get to this page, the first section is for those that already have registered with Ariba, and you can just log in and then take you to the areas of the questionnaire that you haven't completed. For those that are new, then you can complete the entire screen here, which shows you to enter your basic company information. And this will proceed to another page. Mm-hmm. And here you want to complete more account information here. And once you've completed all the information that's on the document, you're going to need to make sure that you agree to the terms of the use and Ariba privacy statement, and also then click OK, continue.
And this just gets you, that means you created your account with Ariba. You haven't yet connected with SCE. So we're going to take you into that next.
Right. And so once you complete the initial application portion, you're going to be receiving a confirmation to confirm your email address, because there's another action that's required from this. And so this is a reminder that will be popping up for you to complete. Then once you do, you'll receive, oh, just a reminder to make sure to check your junk mail email folder, just in case it might go to a different area of your inbox. So you'll be receiving an email verification and account activation. And this is very important that you must complete this step. It provides the link for you to activate the account. And so you want to make sure that that you activate the account. If you have already registered, then you can just log in and complete the rest of the questionnaire. And here we're going to step 2, which is completing the Ariba public profile.
Again, the public profile, this is Laura, just to add on that, the public profile is what Ariba and other potential customers are going to see. So what you want to do is complete all the tabs above, and we'll go into where our site on the Ariba Commerce Cloud is next.
Okay. So there are 3 areas on this form that you want to make sure that you complete. It's the business tab, the contacts, and then your certifications. And all the information that has an asterisk is required information that you must complete. Otherwise, when you try to submit, it will not go through until you complete all the required information.
We're going to go into the mandatory fields as well.
Next, we're going to complete the SCE Supplier Profile questionnaire. And so this one is you're still on the same Ariba sourcing page, but on the next tab it says Customer Requested tab. By clicking on this tab, you will be entered into the Southern California Edison link. It should be already pre-populated, but if it's not, you can select it from the area that it shows. Okay. And then here is the Southern California Edison's requested profile, also called the Supplier Profile questionnaire. And again, please complete it, all the asterisk areas, and then when you're completed, you can click on Submit, and this will complete this profile portion. Here's some mandatory questions in Ariba that are required questions for you to complete. Is your company a diverse business enterprise? Are you registered as a California resident-owned business? And are you a U.S.-owned company? And there are also the SCE terms of use acceptance and supplier acknowledgement.
So just to add to that, so these 5 questions that are asterisked will not let you submit without having answered them. Some of them are questions that will ask an additional question, but the yes or no is the one that's important. For example, are you a US-owned company? The next question, if you answer yes, will be, we would like for you to upload your W-9. It's not necessary to upload that W-9 or track it down, and we just want to know initially. Going forward, we may need that W-9 tax form if we are ready to qualify you at some point down the road. But we wanted to make it very simple, just answer these 5 questions, and you are visible in Ariba for future interactions.
Once you've completed the questionnaire, you will receive a system-generated message confirming your profile has been submitted to SCE for approval. And then once your profile information has been approved by SCE Supplier Registration Team, you will receive a system-generated email notification on this as well. Also note that completing the SCE profile does not guarantee that you will be awarded an SCE business or that you will be included in SCE sourcing events. You may need to provide additional information and documents if you are selected to compete for certain types of work. And now we're going to go into supplier qualification. This is the area where a comprehensive review and screening of prospective suppliers is an essential activity that impacts supply management's mission to deliver quality goods and services to the entire enterprise. In Supplier Qualification Team, we're going to receive the notification your Ariba profile has been approved and to start the supplier qualification process. The Supplier Qualification Team is going to reach out to you to upload information for which we need to do due diligence, which is in the financial evaluation, technical evaluation, ethics and compliance screening, safety grade, and this is pertaining to safety tier 1, and also cyber impact screening. Can you just safety tier 1? Can you describe?
Okay, so just to add on to that, this is Laura again. Firstly, the Supplier Qualification Team receives that notification from supply management agent or contract manager. That would mean that they're wanting to qualify you as a supplier during an RFP or after for a direct award if the OU is looking to do that, if the organization is looking to do that as well. As it relates to safety, safety tier 1 is where all of our hazardous work occurs. So safety tier 1 is defined as any work that without some protection, whether it be personal protective equipment or harnesses or other protective equipment, you could have a serious or fatal injury. So that would be our definition of hazardous work. So those of you that are doing professional services and things of that nature that are not on our job sites may not have safety tier 1, but that is the definition.
Here's the required information for us to complete a commercial evaluation. Here's some details of what we require from our suppliers. The financial statements, we definitely need a current year end and also include in that financial statement the balance sheet and income statement. Tax forms are required for the current year, the W-9 for US owned businesses, the WBEN for non-US owned, also the California 590, which is a California resident owned business, or if you're out of state and have a business in California, you must provide the California Secretary of State number or California Corporations number. Otherwise, all out-of-state companies, businesses will use the California, the CA 587 form. Certificates of insurance, again, must be current year. The certificate holder must also add as Southern California Edison with our address. And here's some typical insurance coverages that we need to see is commercial general liability limits. If your services, it's $2 million for each occurrence and $4 million for general aggregate. If you're providing materials, it's $1 million for each occurrence and $2 million for general aggregate. We also need you to include SCE as additionally insured and waiver of subrogation. We also need you to provide a Dun & Bradstreet number, and also we'll also be requiring payment method and remittance address information. Here are the required documents for technical evaluation. You must provide the personnel, summaries and resumes, business licenses, the experience modification rate and safety documents if performing services at SCE facilities and job site. And of course, the diverse business enterprise DBE certificates, recent projects, and equipment list. All this information, the technical evaluator will review the documents and provide their approval, rejection, or conditionally approve based on the work being contemplated. Uploading certificates. In this area, you want to make sure that you provide all the certificates of diverse business enterprise information. And uploading your certificates, there are sometimes areas where you need to also provide an effective date and an expiration date. And this is particularly most for certificates of insurance and some of your certificates for DBE. You want to make sure they are maintained up to date. Otherwise, you'll be receiving notifications until that information has been updated. Next, we're going to go to the vendor ID. A vendor ID is created when the Ariba registration and supplier qualifications are completed and approved. Procurement can now issue a purchase order. And we have reached our finish line. If you need additional assistance with registration process or passwords, please contact the Ariba helpline at 866-218-2155. Or there is a website where you can go for more information.
So that kind of goes over our Ariba supplier information module, our management system, and the qualification process. It was just an overview. We will be sending out a detailed Ariba supplier information management system guide, a user guide for you to go step by step into our system. And again, this is the first step in you becoming discoverable to any organization. So each organization that you want to do business with is going to have some sort of registration process. More and more people are using Ariba, and by having your cloud account in starting and your public profile as the starting point, some of that information is already in the system for you. So as other people, you are specifically signing up with other utilities or other corporations who utilize Ariba, it will pre-populate some of that information from your public profile. So it's important that you get into these databases and register with the clients that you are really trying to target. Again, those supplier diversity teams, as well as all of the supply management, procurement people, utilize these systems on a daily basis. So not only are they looking for suppliers and will be looking at in detail at your profiles, but they also use it, we use it here at SCE Ariba to send out all of our sourcing activities. So if you want to compete in an RFP, it is going to be through the Ariba system. You won't be able to compete in that RFP unless you are registered in our Ariba system and completely registered. We've had people who have missed out on opportunities because they had not registered in Ariba with us. And that's very unfortunate, because the first thing we tell everybody is please go in and register with us. So tips, and again on your registration, is not only just completing the minimum fields, but really something that I know myself and my supply management colleagues look for is really the attachments that are there, that you have complete information to tell us who you are. There is a field that allows you to describe your business, not only put in your, I think, NACE codes, or what uses, certain classification codes to tell us what business you do, but also to tell us what you do in text field. And we search a lot by those keywords. So if you really want to become discoverable to somebody, think about that. Think, what would that person be searching for? What would they be looking for? And does that profile, does my profile in the Ariba system reflect that, so that somebody can find me? Again, and then the qualification process it happens when once supply management or the OUs, project managers, are really interested in getting having you participate in a contract, they will initiate the supplier qualification process. So there are two different processes, but it always starts off with you registering in our Ariba system. And so again, I can't emphasize that enough. It will send the link out to you, or the information with the link on it. Please, if you haven't done so already, please register with us. And we do participate with VIB in a lot of events. We will definitely be at their annual conference coming up. A lot of our procurement people will be there and participating within the matchmaking session. And it's a good opportunity for you to meet with us and get to know you and your capabilities. So Cole, with that, we have some contact information here for supplier diversity and our supplier qual team that is available for assistance with registration and supplier qualification. So Cole, I think if we have questions, and we can take some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to hammer home that last point you were making. If you, in small business, we often tell a lot of our members, and for those of you listening, in small business, you must be better, cheaper, or faster than your competition. It doesn't matter what certifications you have. It doesn't matter, who you are. If your company is not better, cheaper, or faster, then it's all for nothing. But the next step to that is being better, cheaper, faster, and being discoverable, or identifying yourself. And the way you do that with companies like Southern California Edison is by getting into their system through Ariba. So if you're better, cheaper, faster, but they don't know how to find you, it's all for nothing. And so please, it's been hammered home multiple times during this presentation, but this is literally step one. You need to get onto the system, and that is where it all begins for how you showcase your own capabilities as a company to corporations like Southern California Edison. And as Alma mentioned, they spent over $2 billion with diverse businesses in 2018. So your access to that $2 billion piece of the pie, so to speak, starts by getting your profile updated and approved and getting that vendor ID so that you can actually start winning some of these contracts and awards. So one question that has come up, as you guys are evaluating companies and looking at them for a lot of new businesses that maybe, have a lot of personnel with a lot of years of experience, or they've been in the industry for a while, but the business as a whole is kind of a new startup. Can you talk about, aside from the Ariba evaluation, but just as your supplier diversity, how do you guys evaluate that or measure that? Or what tips do you have for small businesses for them to describe, hey, as a company, we're new, but as our experience, we have years and years in this industry?
Yeah, that's a good question, Cole, because we do see that a lot with a lot of the small businesses. They're often very experienced people who have come from major, prime companies, larger corporations or prime companies, prime suppliers who have wanted to start their own business, and in doing so have picked the best of the best from their industry and started, this business. And I think the way to really get that across, and that's understandable. We are a little risk averse to new companies, but I have seen, because we are the utility industry, and I think in the past we've been, as an industry, very risk averse, but I have seen that change. I think that we, especially in this industry nowadays, are looking for innovation and solutions, and I think that you can prove that by highlighting the achievements of the team that you've put together. I've seen that in the EV space, that there a lot of this is a new space for almost everybody. And we have seen companies form recently, especially on the services side, that are new, but they have a lot of experience in developing programs, and so they've gathered teams to focus on this, but they're brand new companies. And so it's best to highlight the achievements and bios and resumes of the key people, and talk about their experiences in those bios and information.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Elma, but small businesses shouldn't be afraid to name drop, correct? If they've worked for some of your competitors or other utilities, by mentioning that in their profile, that helps ease some of that risk aversion for you guys working with that small business, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So yeah, tell us who the clients are and some of the projects that you've worked on. That does help.
And all of that goes to making sure that your profile on Ariba is accurate, that your keywords and that your narrative is accurately portraying your business and the experience you have. Another question that has come up, what is the next step? If somebody has a vendor ID, what do they need to be doing after that in order to maximize their chances to win that purchase order or procurement?
Yeah, we do get this a lot because we are different than your government agencies. We are, a California public utility. Our bids are not open. You need to be invited to bid. So what does that mean to get the invitation? It really is all about developing that business relationship. So we do encourage, and I know as suppliers, and we hear it all the time. I worked with suppliers over the years. We hear it all the time is like, well, how do I do that? How do I break in to get the right people? I do have to say, I know, and I will acknowledge that sometimes it seems like a mystery on how to do that in many companies, especially those companies. Then, they say, how do I hear about the opportunities? How do I get invited to bid? You do have to develop that relationship, see where SC is going to be. I just told you we're going to be at the VIB conference and we're bringing buyers there. That's your opportunity to talk to somebody and start building that relationship. Your supplier diversity contact, a lot of these utilities that operate, well, all of them that operate under GO 156, which is the California Public Utilities, they will have supplier diversity departments. They could be your source of getting your foot in the door and meeting with the right people, and develop those relationships through networking events, through sponsored events and conferences, and keep in touch with your supplier diversity person, or if you are fortunate to get the supply management and OU contacts, periodically keep in touch so that they remember who you are. Keep your profile up to date. Again, if I look through somebody and I'm searching for a keyword and your profile doesn't come up and your I hadn't seen you in a while, or maybe you have forgotten about you, then I may not recommend you to be on the bid. So those are some key things that you can do to become, to stay, I think, discoverable and stay visible, to be invited to those bids. One other key thing is, for us, I know that we get a lot of questions of suppliers of saying, well, I'm in Ariba, I have the ID, and I didn't get this RFP that would have been perfect for me, but I've heard that it's gone out. And one of the reasons could be is that you are not qualified in our system for the right commodity or service or material, what we call material code. So we see that a lot. So you should ask your supplier diversity person or your supply management person that you're working with, what are the material codes or services that I should be qualified for? And once you're qualified and go through that qualification process for a particular service or good, then that gets into your SAP profile so that we can see, oh, this supplier is qualified already to do engineering services or to do, union construction work. And a lot of times our procurement people, supply management people will look for those codes and pull by those codes that you've already been qualified for. So it's important then to make sure that you have you have already been qualified for the correct codes that would be applicable to the goods and services that you're buying, and ask if you don't, ask that you get that information. Say, what am I qualified for through SCE? Am I qualified for goods and services, and what are those the appropriate ones? Because that will help then get you invited to those when we're searching for those goods or services.
Yeah, and I'll throw a shameless plug for the VIB conference. We do a tactical networking session where you're at a table. It's kind of a quick fire networking session where you get to do your elevator pitch. But I can guarantee for those of you DVBEs out there, if you mention that you're registered in Ariba, have a vendor ID, and maybe you haven't won that first opportunity yet, but as Alma mentioned, they're bringing their program managers and their purchasing agents, they're going to have a team there. If you mention that you've already gone through these initial steps, it's a lot easier transition to try and help you connect with those opportunities than just saying, I don't even know what Ariba is, or I haven't done it yet. So definitely do your homework, get registered in the system, and then you've already cleared that obstacle through the first phase. You mentioned getting the qualifications for the specific industries or products and services. Can you talk a little bit about what is required in those specific qualifications?
Well, as Sandra went over, there are specific, it will be according to what you're getting qualified for, but there is generally some documents that we look for. So, the commercial qualification forms we talked about, but in the technical qualification, a lot of times, so the technical qualifications are done by the OUs, typically the people who the project managers who kind of oversee the work. And this is where they're looking for, they'll look for specific documents about the personnel summaries and resumes, business license. They'll look at your EMR and safety documents. They may even come to and a lot of time for the services that we do, especially in transmission and distribution, they will come do a job site. They have to observe the work that you've done, and they'll observe a couple projects. If you are doing substation work, something very technical like that, they will they do have a process where they will have to view a couple projects that you've done that are similar, and then you get conditionally approved for a certain period of time to do smaller work with Edison, and then once that's done, satisfactorily, then they'll move on to make you fully approved for that. So it depends really on what you're getting qualified for. Obviously, if it's something for a consulting or something like that, you won't go through a big facilities or job site walk. So it just really depends on what it is, the good or service that you're providing, how in-depth and how technical the technical evaluation becomes.
This is Laura.
And that process will be dictated by your supplier qualification team, correct?
I'd like to clarify. We register. I don't think you can hear us. Can you hear us, Cole?
Oh, there you are. Yep. Oh, can you hear us?
Alma?
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties.
Yes. Hi.
Okay. So
there we go.
I just want to clarify the steps for registration, differentiate registration stage is when is either in an RFP phase or after the RFP phase and the award is being, you're being considered for the award, and now we need to qualify you. You don't get a vendor ID until we're ready to issue you a purchase order. So just wanted to clarify the difference between having a vendor ID would mean that you're an approved vendor and that you have already, you're going to receive a PO, versus being in Ariba, being visible and discoverable. So does that make sense?
Okay, yes. I was actually confused on that then.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to clarify, because you may not be the only one.
And one question we've got that's come up is we do have some people joining that aren't in California that might not necessarily qualify as a DVBE, but they do qualify as a DBE minority-owned business. They can still get on. You still want people and suppliers to join and become discoverable as long as they provide goods and services that you purchase, correct? You're not necessarily looking specifically. Basically, my point is the diversity side is key to your GO 156 goals, but at the end of the day, Southern California is a business that is looking for qualified suppliers regardless of certification status, correct?
That is absolutely true, and the same process is applicable. So you would always need to start off by being registered in Ariba.
So for those of you out there who may not have the right certifications or the ones that we've talked about, you can still do business with Southern California Edison. You just got to go back to those things I mentioned: better, cheaper, faster. You got to have the goods and services that they're purchasing and get on Ariba so they can find you. One more question, and I think we're about out of time. Is there any cost associated with this process?
There is no cost to register in Ariba.
All right, so for all those small businesses out there that are worried about their budget, all this takes is time. As long as you're willing to dedicate the time, you will not have to break out your credit card to get registered with Ariba. All right, I think we've addressed all of the questions. I will turn it back over to you, Elma, if you have any last words from you and your team.
Yeah, thanks, Cole. No, we just wanted to say thank you again for allowing us to address everybody, because we do get this question often, and I hope that you found it of value. And again, this presentation, along with the handout, with our supplier registration user guide, will be either distributed or posted through VIB. So if you participated in this or registered this, you can expect to get this information, and our contact information is here. We look forward to seeing you guys registered in Ariba and speaking in the future.
Great, thank you very much. And for everybody who joined, we appreciate your participation today and for asking some very good questions regarding this process. I'd like to thank Alma, Sandra, and Laura for their time and expertise in explaining this process to everyone. And as Alma's mentioned, this will be posted. We'll actually have a recording on the VIB YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch the video that'll have some of these questions and discussions. The slides will also be sent out, and the user guide. So we appreciate everyone's participation today. Thank you to Southern California Edison for presenting this information. I believe there's over 170 corporations that utilize Ariba. And so we appreciate them taking the time to talk through this process for how to do business with them. But a lot of this will apply to other corporations, utilities, etc. And so thank you very much for your time today. Thank you to you and your team. And thank you to our members who joined today.
Great. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.